Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
You know, the older I get, I believe my body is like an old car. Every time I sneeze, cough, or sputter, either my radiator leaks or my exhaust backfires. I love that one. Morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Followed by a Patriot. Come on, Patriots. Stand up and be proud. Give us the Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. And a good morning to you. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell on a Monday. Beautiful, beautiful morning out there after a fantastic weekend. May 13th, Monday, May 13th. And right now, we say a big thanks to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Let's go to the phone line and have a real patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Wheels. And right now we're going to go to the weather forecast. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental. Hello, Roger and the crew. And I mean, they've got an outstanding crew that really understand tools and equipment and how they can serve you to help finish any kind of a construction project, get ready for your lawn care, all of this. Don't forget, this is K&R Rental. Caller, I'll have to give you after the weather. Stay tuned. K&R Rental at 256 South 600 West of Hayburn. Number to call, 678-3122. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Enjoy the sunshine while we can, because it looks like rain showers are going to be in the forecast later this week. Here's what we're looking at for today. Mostly sunny skies, slight chance of afternoon thunderstorms, isolated rain showers, mostly sunny skies. Winds are going to be out of southeast at about 5 miles an hour, expecting a high of 80. Tonight it looks like the clouds are going to be moving into the valley, expecting a low of 51, burning off by tomorrow. Mostly sunny skies, high of 81. Then the clouds are going to be back for Tuesday night with a low of 52. By Wednesday, mostly cloudy skies, cooling off to 78 with an overnight low of 54. Thursday and Friday, we do have a 30 to 50% chance of rain showers and thunderstorms. Cloudy skies for Thursday, expecting a high of 75. Friday, expecting a high of 80. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. And don't forget K&R Rental for all your gardening and lawn equipment to get things ripping and rolling. Rototillers, lawnmowers, everything at K&R Rental. For your rental right there at the best, 256 South 600 West of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway, 678-3122. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Zebediah. How's everything with you?
Peachy, Bob. What's happening, man?
Well, do you know that senior citizens are the biggest carrier of AIDS?
As a matter of fact, I've got that right in front of me, but I'll let you share in the glory and tell me, oh, really?
Well, hearing aids, band aids, walking aids, toilet aids, all kinds of aids.
You've got it. And you know, the older I get, it really becomes more apparent that you can't be without them.
Okay, Have a good day, Zeb.
I will, buddy. Thank you so much for your call. It's really true. I read that about the old car, and I thought, man, that's me. That is me the older I get. Hey, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Hello, Kevin and Cindy. They are wonderful people, and we've been taking our clothes in there for a long, long time. They're the best at what they do. And I also want to urge you to know that if you don't have time to do your washing, they will wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes, just like Mom did. You stop in and see them today. The best. Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Super nice people. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, when we were younger, and our fathers told us, son, you cannot borrow yourself out of debt. I'm sure you can remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, it took us a while, but we finally caught on that that's what we're supposed to do. This deal we've got with China right now, where they've lulled us to sleep, and they're just taking over everything, is really disturbing to me. And we're going to run into a real serious problem if we don't listen to the president and let him do these tariffs. It's going to be painful, but there again, you can't borrow yourself out of debt. We're going to have to be careful of how we spend our money, and let's avoid buying Chinese if we can.
All right, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this subject this morning, but because I've got a gentleman coming on later that's an expert on it. But I'm going to say that I totally concur with everything you said this morning, Keith. I am sick and tired of people overlooking the fact that it's not Russia that is our main rival. It's not Russia that's going to take us over. It's not Russia that we need to be that concerned about. They're a very low economy in a big country. China is the one that we need to fear, and I underline the word fear. And for the incompetency of the Democrats and others, even people that live here in this valley, they cannot see the forest of the danger with China because one tree is standing in the way. It drives me nuts.
And, you know, and the farmers are probably going to be hit the hardest, and my heart goes out to them. But it's going to have to happen, or they're going to own us, lock, stock, and barrel.
I think there are some programs that are being worked on right now with the USDA and other factions of our government to alleviate a lot of the financial strain and pain to our farming and agricultural sector. But I'll tell you what, we have got to put China on notice that they are not going to take over the world. They are not going to be the superpower. They are not going to dictate to us whether we buy, how much we pay for it, what we eat, what we don't eat, etc. This has got to stop. And I absolutely stand up and applaud you for applauding Donald Trump.
He is our president. Let's get behind him.
Amen. Keith, God bless you for your call. You're always there, man. Thanks. Appreciate it. Have a good day. Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.
All right, sir. Hey, calls are welcome, and I'm going to stand behind those words. It's not Russia. I'm so sick and tired of the Democrats. Turn on the lights, Democrats. See where you're going instead of kind of pilfering and falling and stumbling in the darkness of your idiocy with Russia. And that's what it is, idiocy. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Oh, my goodness, they've got all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. And now it's time to consider the cooling aspect because you're going to be turning on those air conditioners now, and you need to have some really good, efficient filters to make sure that they run cool and keep you cool. Absolutely. They've got everything right over there at Ramsey Heating and Electric. And the number to call is 678-0459. They're open 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric, absolutely the best. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. If you're hungry, I know a place to go that absolutely will take care of your hunger with the greatest of menu choices, and I'm talking about Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Man, oh moly, the food is fantastic. You're going to love it. And, of course, this is America's Diner. Check out the Mediterranean grilled chicken or the prime rib add-on for the Cobb salads. Phenomenal. Or the strawberry crepes for breakfast. I love those. All of this and so much more at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. And we'll be over there next week on the 23rd. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. The menu for the Burley Senior Center today is lasagna, corn, green salad, garlic bread, and cake. I don't know what kind of frosting.
Well, is it chocolate cake or is it vanilla cake? Or is it some other kind of cake? And then you and I will dictate what the frosting's going to be.
Well, it's some other kind of cake.
Okay. Well, put vanilla frosting on it and you'll never go wrong.
All right. That sounds like a winner.
Joe, thank you. We'll send everybody over to the Senior Center on Overland.
For only $5, the best value in town.
Absolutely. All right, Joe. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye.
Joe Taylor, good guy. Appreciate him very much. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I've got some stories this morning that just absolutely make the hair stand up on the back of your neck and make you fighting mad. But right now, I also want to remind you about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I just talked to Nick earlier this morning. And starting this week on Thursday, we've got a special segment starting on Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation to better acquaint you with what they do and who they are and who they serve. It's going to be really interesting. 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The number to call, 678-1191. All your aching and paining, right there, they can help it. With all the exercises and the use of the hydrotherapy pool, I urge you, first-class people serving you. I know they've helped me. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 678-1191. You call them today. All right, caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb, and it is a good morning.
Yes, sir, my friend Tony. How's everything in Twin Falls?
Oh, the sun's out, and I'm getting ready to do my lawn.
Well, for heaven's sakes, man, what can I do for you?
Well, you know, this Democratic Party, the only agenda they have right now is the total destruction of the Trump family.
That's right.
Now they're starting on the son, and I guess after they try to destroy him, are they going to go after the grandchildren and then Mrs. Trump? This is all they've got going for them.
They are absolutely bent on nothing more than the total devastation and destruction and denigration of Donald Trump, his presidency, his family, his everybody that it's connected with Donald Trump. And it's all a bunch of bogus lies. I mean, this over the weekend, we're going to be talking to Richard Manning back in D.C. here in about another hour. This lie about constitutional crisis. Tony, you're a sharp man. You're a really good guy. Please, in a very short phrase, tell me what we are in as far as a constitutional crisis. Explain it to me.
Well, there is no constitutional crisis. It's just a plain invasion of the United States that's been orchestrated by people like George Soros. It's been picked up by the Democratic Party, and they're going to use this to destroy every part of this country. And they're under the impression that this country is taken over by foreign countries. They are not going to be safe. They're going to be down as danger and all the danger that people like you and I are going to be in.
Absolutely. No, I heard this so many times this weekend, I almost pulled off one of my Tony Lama boots and threw it at the television set. Constitutional crisis, constitutional crisis. We're in a constitutional crisis. And not one not one of the NRB hosts on television, and NRB stands for Not Real Bright, never asked for an explanation of what a constitutional crisis is and why we are there. Nobody did, because they don't have any answers to it. But the liberal media is so stupid in their interviews, they don't say, well, wait a minute, you're saying constitutional crisis. What is he doing? What's his administration doing? What is a constitutional crisis? And Tony, you have not heard one answer to a question like that.
Well, once this invasion continues and our streets are filled up with these foreigners, they're going to find out that these foreigners will have no respect for the American population.
You got it. Or our culture or our Constitution.
Things go bad.
I couldn't agree more. Go over and give that sweet little lady that's your wife a nice big kiss and say good morning, my friend. Thank you. All right. Take care. Thank you much.
Thank you, Zeb.
Good folks right there in Twin Falls. Hey, Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. Oh, Dr. Bill says if you've got any livestock or pet problems with their health, get a hold of them today. Don't forget, now's the time to get your puppies vaccinated. They should be vaccinated at 6 to 8 weeks of age, and then boosters every 30 days until they're 4 months old. Keep them healthy. That's what you got them for. Absolutely. And it's time to deworm those horses, too, if you haven't. And all the ticks and flies are out there. Please, if you got questions, call the best Ark Animal Hospital in Hayburn. And the number to call, 678-1177. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. I'll tell you somebody else that's working hard right now. Holy moly, they get there early in the morning, and I know that they're running. It looks like a Chinese fire drill all the time, every day, trying to keep everybody up and running on their irrigation needs, and that's Rain for Rent. Oh, yeah, they are busy. They are good. Jake and the crew at Rain for Rent, a Reinke Diamond dealer, and believe me, they've got the industry's longest warranty, Platinum Plus certified pivot techs. They've got it all, along with some of the sharpest people, dedicated sales and service staff that know irrigation. Please don't waste time. Get it taken care of today. Rain for Rent, 438-5065. Located at 134 South, 600 West DePaul. Rain for Rent. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Got a question for you. I saw a video that was so shocking the other day, and it's been played many, many times on the news. You probably have seen this. An 85-year-old man was beaten and kicked by a young, worthless punk. I want to say that again because that's what he is. A young, worthless punk. Kicked the man repeatedly as the 85-year-old man lay on the ground on the sidewalk. There's a video showing all this. And the beating and the kicking was all because the 85-year-old man was outside of a Planned Parenthood building praying to stop abortions. Well, this worthless punk, and that's again what he is, worthless, went over and knocked the man down and continued to beat and harass him and kick him. Now my question is to you. When you watched this video, did you at all not ask yourself, wait a minute, who is shooting this video and who didn't have the guts of a nightcrawler to jump in and stop this kicking and beating of an 85-year-old man? They took the video, but they wouldn't help the man? Throw the doggone camera down and jump in there and do something to aid and assist an 85-year-old man that's being beaten? We as a nation should be so embarrassed and so ashamed for our lack of jumping into the fray and helping someone that is being beaten and kicked. And this 85-year-old man had to be at least 65 years older than his attacker. On the ground, being kicked and beaten. And whoever took the video, I hope you have a hard time sleeping at night. Because you should have done something. Something. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to remind you, too, come on, start calling in, folks. We got a lot of topics here this morning. Ramsey Heating and Electric teaming up with Lennox Home Comfort Systems, and they're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new home comfort system. All you need to do to find out more is call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459 or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. See the dealer for details, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. All right, calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Here's another story. By the way, Wheels, it sounds a little fuzzy. How's it coming in over there? I just thought I'd better check with you.
I was going to say, I can hear a little bit of fuzz, too, but it's not affecting anything too much. So
let's ride the horse for a little bit, but the minute it gets a little worse, we'll try a different line. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, buddy. There's another story of complete disgust. An Ohio high school says no to valedictorians. Why are they saying no to valedictorians this year? Well, it puts too much pressure on the students to succeed. Too much competition. And it makes the other students feel bad because they're not selected. My grandmother would sit there and listen to this balderdash and say, ay, 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 ay. This particular school system in Mason, Ohio, has no backbone, has a school administration that's not worthy of receiving a paycheck, and they should be fired. And all we're doing in this country is continually hearing stories like this that kill work ethic, hard work ethic. They kill goals that are set for achievement. And when I read this story, I thought, my goodness, what in the world is going on in America that we're not going to try to push our kids into being the best they can be? One of the people back there for Mason Schools, a spokesperson for the way that they have discontinued the valedictorian or salutatorian honors in the class, said, the desire to overachieve can create stress for teens. And they feel like the students have suffered from a lack of sleep because they've taken so many classes. Don't you feel sorry for these little warm cuddlies? I do not. Life is a challenge. Life is stress. Contributing to be a part of life takes every day a real value and effort and work ethic. And we are not teaching these kids anything by making the road obstacle-free. And we are not teaching these little darlings anything by saying, well, we're going to get rid of this because somebody might be offended. This is garbage. And I certainly hope there is not any school in this area dumb enough to employ this kind of a system. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to give away some cookies in just a moment, so stay tuned for that. But first and foremost, I want to remind you, too, about Dino's Septic Service. Oh, my goodness, they are good. They are big and bigger. That's right. They've expanded their business to better serve you with all the septic tank pumping and the liquid waste removal and the sewer and sink drain lines cleaned and the mainline irrigation installation. All this and so much more. Fast, fair-friendly service. Dino's Septic Service. I'll give you the numbers. Call them at 436-6526 or in Burley 678-1638 with a big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Dino's Septic Service, absolutely the best. All right, we're going to give away a dozen cookies right now to Sophie's Chatterbox, and wonderful, wonderful restaurant and bakery located over at 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. Oh, man, a great meal over there in their restaurant. Oh, man, great, great items they turn out in their bakery, cookies, pies, cakes, wedding cakes. Oh, the list goes on. And if you're the lucky winner of the cookies for this hour, call them and let them know when you'll be in there to pick up your winnings. Here's the question this morning, and the first person to call me with the right answer is going to be the winner at 436-2244. 436-2244. On the television series Wagon Train. Remember that? Back in the 60s, Wagon Train, and the wagon master was Ward Bond, great actor. Anyway, name the actor that played the scout McCullough. What was the name of the actor that played the scout McCullough on Wagon Train? It's a little bit tougher this morning, but I think somebody will remember this. And give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Once again, name of the actor that played the scout on Wagon Train, and the scout's name was McCullough. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. How are you?
I am peachy wonderful. What was the answer?
Robert Horton.
My goodness, lady, you are good. What's your name?
Barbara.
Barbara what?
Knight.
Barbara Knight. And did you have to go look that up, or did you know that?
No, I took it off my brain and called you.
I remember that. Do you know what he did in his later years as an actor, what job he had after that?
Well, I've seen it, but I can't remember it just right offhand.
He was on a soap opera. Remember that?
Okay.
I think it was either The Guiding Light or it was Days of Our Lives, but he ended up his career, I believe, as a soap opera actor. But Robert Horton was McCullough, and God bless you. You call over to Sophie's and get your cookies.
Okay, I have a question really quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Statement. I really would like to take these cookies and donate them to somebody that would like to have them. Maybe have somebody bring them over to you in Murtaugh. A dozen sugar cookies. I wouldn't be able to do it because of other unforeseen circumstances right now, but I would like to donate them for you.
Oh, you are such a sweetheart. You're just an absolute sweetheart. That was awful nice of you, but you certainly don't have to do that. I hate to take anything away from anybody, but I love sugar cookies, and God bless you for your wonderful thought. Thank you.
Well, whoever we can donate them to, if Damien knows of someone or you know of someone, please donate them to somebody that...
I will.
Or if somebody makes a special trip, maybe Keith can do it and take them over there. I'm going to add, he's going to really love the heck out of me, but anyway, you know how it is.
I will personally make sure I know just a family that possibly would really appreciate that. And I thank you for your kindness. God bless you today. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Have a good day.
I will. Wasn't that nice? I mean, golly, it just makes you feel good to have somebody like that say, well, no, don't give them to me. We'll make sure we donate them to somebody else. That really is nice. Berry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts, and 3 locations to serve you: 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location. I mean, if you're out there and you're a digging and a lifting and a pushing and a carrying, you need the tools and equipment to get it done. And they've got all the big Doosan loaders and all the bobcats and skid steers, mini excavators. They've got it all right there at Berry Equipment and Rental. We had a good visit last week with one of the guys over there, and that was Corey Chandler at Berry Equipment and Rental. They work for you. Twin Falls, Burley, and Nampa. Don't forget the best, Berry Equipment and Rental. Thank you. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear And honestly, here's another story that I just about, when I heard this, fell out of my lazy boy the other day, that in Australia, they have decided to not call Mother's Day anymore. Now, you're probably saying, what are you going for here, Zeber? There is a primary school in Melbourne, Australia, that announced that this year's Mother's Day will be renamed in the hopes of causing less offense to non-traditional families. In other words, and let's call it what it is, they are afraid of upsetting the LGBT movement around the world. And so they're going to change the name, and they're not going to have the celebration of Mother's Day or the acknowledgement. And they're also going to do the same for Father's Day because they don't want to offend anyone with the LGBT. My goodness. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. You know, there's one thing that I wanted to mention. Graduation at CSI was last Friday, and I had two of my grandsons were graduating, so naturally I had to go. But I was very impressed with the fact that they played the national anthem, and they had a prayer. They did not recite the Pledge of Allegiance, but they did everything else the way I thought it should be done.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and kudos to them. And unfortunately, we've heard many, many stories of commencements and the upcoming commencements at various schools to where they want to eliminate or obliterate this kind of patriotism. And Keith, anytime I hear good stories about good schools and good people that are standing up in the face of adversity and basically spitting in the eye of liberalism, I'm all for it.
You know, another thing that my wife mentioned to me was, did you notice that there was no one wearing towel heads? I mean, you know, the head garb. No one.
Well, that's good. I mean, I think there has to be a respect and there has to be an acknowledgement. You live in our culture, you act in our culture, and you reside in our culture. I think there has to be an acknowledgement to do things our way. And if it offends somebody by my saying that, that's fine. I don't care. I've reached a point in my life where why in the world should we always care about offending minority numbers when we change our culture to assist them and adopt them into our culture, but I'm not going to realize that their culture takes precedence over mine.
And one more thing. They eulogized Debbie Critchfield for what she has done, and I thought that was so nice.
I don't think they eulogized her. That's the wrong word. They may have given her credit and praise, but she has not passed away.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Well, yeah, maybe I should... Maybe I haven't passed away yet either.
Well, you better... people need to be a little careful in some of the words they use and how they use them because it can cause great concern to other people.
You'll probably never hear from me again.
Okay. Thanks for your call, Keith. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You bet.
All right, thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. Well, you know, they're doing anything they can to destroy Christianity, our culture. You know, we were founded as a Christian nation. The Supreme Court declared we were emphatically a Christian nation. And now you can't teach that in school, but you can teach about everything else. And you talk about assimilation. The new immigrants that are coming into this country, whether they're considered refugees or otherwise, they're not assimilating. They're forming their little enclaves, meaning the Muslims, and as soon as they get enough support or an area, like over in England and France, and we've got some places in the U.S. already where the police don't go in there, and all kinds of things are happening, but they just let them go. And so my grandfather came over here in 1903, came through Ellis Island, he had to have good health, he had to have a sponsor.
And now we're bringing in all these diseases. Nobody's checking their health. Nobody's got a vaccination card with them. And they're just coming in, and then we're seeing the fruits of this open border policy, Zeb.
All I'm going to say to you is that everything that you've said is spot on. And, you know, the left, and you know this to be true, Adrian, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it this hour, but I want to comment on a short comment. The left expects us to all of a sudden bow down to their throne of liberalism if they make an attempt to embarrass us or chastise us. They expect us to go in the corner like Dennis the Menace that broke the cookie jar, and they expect us to repent and say, oh, we're sorry, we'll change our ways. Well, I'm not going to do that on this program, Adrian. I'm not going to subject my culture and my beliefs into what they want me to be. I'm not going to change the mold. None of us should.
Well, and that's the trouble. There's too many good people out there, in some of them in your listening audience, I'm sure. They see a lot of things. They say we need to be good neighbors and so forth. Well, the Muslims, for example, they are commanded to be good neighbors until they become a small majority, and then they dictate.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Bridget Gabriel over in Lebanon, as you well know. And so this is what we have to be aware of. As soon as they get a certain number, they all of a sudden exert their Sharia law, and they want to cut off our heads if we don't convert.
Well, wait a minute. You just brought up a friend of mine, and she is a friend of mine. I'm not using her name as a name dropper. The facts are the facts. Deanna and I know her very well, and she is a friend of mine and has been on my program many times. But our wonderful nonsensical Times News had a story about hate groups and other patterns of hate in this country not too long ago, and they named her as a fanatical hate organization, Act Now for America. I was totally offended by that because the Times News, without the knowledge of an ant crawling into an anthole, really come out and condemned this lady, and they don't know her. They don't know what she stands for. They have no idea what they're talking about. And in the same article, Adrian, if you read it a couple of months ago, the Times News even praised the Southern Poverty Law Center, one of the most radical hate groups in America.
Well, Southern Poverty Law Center is now being exposed for what it is. It's the real hate group. They hate Christians. They hate patriots groups of any sort. And Bridget Gabriel, God bless her, has really had an uphill battle. And, of course, the media is not going to give her any credence. But you have to realize that they're out to destroy this country one way or another, either economically or socially.
Absolutely.
In the process of doing. But we've got to stand up against it. And it's nice to be good neighbors, but I guarantee you, if you have a Muslim neighbor, you better watch out, because someday he's going to be your devout enemy when they get enough of them together.
Adrian, I always appreciate your comments, and we're going to be straightforward about this on this program. And if somebody doesn't like it, they've got two choices. They can call and raise a ruckus, or they can turn the radio off. I don't care. I'm going to be honest about it, and I know you are too. Thank you for your call. I got another one waiting.
Have a great week.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Caller, I'm going to ask you a favor, and if you could just stay there on the line just for a second. I've got to get a weather forecast on, and then I'll give you plenty of time, I promise. Our weather this hour is brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they're located right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, and the number to call for your hearing health. And I urge you to do this, 312-0957, 312-0957. They've got 3 doctors of audiology that know and care and can help you. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Enjoy the sunshine while we can, because it looks like rain showers are going to be in the forecast later this week. Here's what we're looking at for today. Mostly sunny skies, slight chance of afternoon thunderstorms, isolated rain showers, mostly sunny skies. Winds are going to be out of southeast at about 5 miles an hour, expecting a high of 80. Tonight looks like the clouds are going to be moving into the valley, expecting a low of 51, burning off by tomorrow. Mostly sunny skies, high of 81. Then the clouds are going to be back for Tuesday night with a low of 52. By Wednesday, mostly cloudy skies, cooling off to 78 with an overnight low of 54. Thursday and Friday, we do have a 30 to 50% chance of rain showers and thunderstorms. Cloudy skies for Thursday, expecting a high of 70. By Friday, expecting a high of 80. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Gina does a great job. And don't forget, so does Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. For the best of diagnostic testing and treatment for your hearing, get a hold of them today. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Caller, you've been very patient. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. First of all, I'm going to thank Gina for ruining my husband's day, because he's a farmer, and all of that rain is just going to hold us back.
Okay.
But at least he can do something else in his shop.
Okay.
And when we are being so kind to these people who are invading our country, what do we expect in return? Because I don't think those are the kind of people that are planning to give us any kind of a good thing back. Why are we welcoming?
Well, let me ask you a question, Chris. You have been a faithful caller and listener for years, and I'm just going to be really blunt about this. Our local Times News always praises all the different cultures and always praises all the refugees coming in here and all this praise, etc. You know, that's all well and good. But then, on the other hand, I would like to see what they're doing or anticipating on doing to support our culture and support our Constitution and our way of life. I don't want to see a fractioning. I don't want to see a division of our cultures in this country. We should all be united under that great red, white, and blue, the United States of America.
I think that we are doing a very poor job of when we so-called welcome somebody into our community. We need to make it clear to them that they are in our community, and it's been a very good process that we've been going on for quite a few years. And if they want to be a part of our community, they need to kind of change their ways. If not, why don't they go back to the country that
Absolutely.
they can relate?
Absolutely. I don't care if anyone's offended by this. If you want to come here to America and you want to be absorbed into our culture and accept and appreciate and respect our flag and our laws, all well and good. God bless you and nice to have you here. If not, and you're here to fraction this country and you're here to start your own culture all over again, I don't want you here. Adios. Don't let the door hit you in the rear end on the way out.
Well, and most of us have, if we know our ancestry, all of them came here from somewhere else to be Americans. And once you put your foot on our property, please be mannerly, and if you're going to stay, learn the way.
Amen.
And that's the problem. Right now, we're welcoming all of these. I'm not. That's not my idea of what we want for a new bunch of citizens, unless they change their mind and become Americans before their old country that they left behind.
Absolutely.
And we are a wonderful country because we've done so much of that. But we better be careful or it's going to take us down.
Absolutely. Chris, I always look forward to having you call in. Thank you and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much.
You too.
All right. Nice lady right there. A lot of respect for her. Calls welcome 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I wrote a blog this last week, Cow Pies and Coffee Cups, and it was all about being proud of America, being proud of who and what we are. And quite frankly, I'm probably going to get very emotional talking about this, but I saw a segment on television the other evening on Fox News, and it was hosted by Martha McCallum. And she had been selected as the spokesperson at an event back in Washington, D.C., that was honoring the remaining of our great service staff of soldiers that fought in World War II. Now, up on the stage, I believe they had 7 of our soldiers from World War II, including Robert Dole, a man that came back from the war and was a senator for many, many years. And I watched these men in their mid-90s to early 100s sitting in wheelchairs, but their minds and their spirits were absolutely awake to everything that was going on around them. And I was just absolutely brought to tears thinking about what they gave and what their fellow soldiers gave for me. For me. To live and reside in the greatest country in the world ever, with the greatest constitution and the greatest opportunity. And I'm going to use some language that's a little rough here, and I'm going to maintain that, and I'm not going to change it. But to the anti-American jackasses that are a part of the Democratic Party, that come out like Pete Buttigieg and says that America was never that great, this man could possibly be president of this United States of America. Think about that. We've got a homosexual, same-sex married mayor from Indiana that wants to impose his vile and filth on the rest of us, and he said, well, America was never that great. You want that kind of a person as the president of the United States of America? That absolutely makes me just white-knuckled. This is the greatest country that has ever happened. Ever happened. We've had our weaknesses. We've overcome our weaknesses. We've had, all in all, probably the greatest leadership in any country's history. Oh, sure, we've had some lemons. Make no doubt about it. But for someone to stand up and say that we are not as great as we thought we were, we're not as good as we think we are, that type of thing, I don't want that kind of person or personality to even see the Oval Office unless they buy a tour ticket. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
See, we've got no option here but to save this thing. I know I say it every day. And, sure, calling in is therapeutic. It is therapy for me. I appreciate the fact that I get to. Because I get to get it off my chest because I'm like you. White knuckle is an understatement. I am so furious. And I'm sick of being mad. And I'm sick of being worried. I don't want my country, my children, my grandchildren, they want to have the American dream. And none, not one of these Democrats are going to offer it to you. Not one. They want to take more of your money and then feed it into the federal government and then disperse it. Well, I tell you what, man, the reason the freeways are full is because we got free market capitalists out there. I don't see the government driving down the road in a truck who's making money. It's just like me telling Zeb Bell, well, hell, Zeb, I'll tell you how to run this show. I'll tell you how to do that. I'll sell your advertisers. It's a joke. It's a joke any more than you telling me how to do garage doors and build shops. And
That's right. That's right.
It's just like me. I was talking to a dairyman, and the price of milk is below break even. And a year ago or so, I try to keep up, but they were losing their you-know-what. And did you hear them complaining? Sure, they're subsidized. Well, I guess in some respects they are. but in some respects they're not.
Well, I tell you what, Randy, let me interrupt you real quick, and I don't mean to be rude, but you can see on your watch, I got to get going, but your point is so well maintained. I am not going to change my attitude on this program. I'm not going to weaken to the left that hammers and yammers at me with emails and after-hours phone calls and everything, demanding that I change my attitude. It ain't going to happen, man. I'm going to stand up for what this country is and what it's done for me, and you can bet your boots that it's going to stay that way till I retire.
Well, and that's the reason why our kids have got to know better, and our grandkids have got to know, so they can tell the tale.
Absolutely. God bless you, man. Thanks. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you, too, about our major sponsor. Absolutely the best, and that's our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. And right now, think about the spring driving, the summer vacation season, all the safe tires that you need for your vehicle, your car, your SUV, your pickup, horse trailer, boat trailer, whatever. They've got all the tires for you, many of which are on sale. Stop in and see them today. 7 great locations serving you, and I mean great locations, great people. Lane in Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, great family, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and the new man, Trent on Overland in Burley. The best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, all of this and so much more at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. I'm going to take a little break and turn it back over to CBS News. We'll be back in 7. God bless you. Have a good day. Oh, good morning, good morning. Zeb at the Ranch, hour number 2. And, of course, we're brought to you by our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Get ready for spring and summertime driving with the best of tires from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, this good word for Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Oh my goodness, you're getting ready for a great big graduation ceremony at your house. Hundreds of people are going to be coming over. You've got the food, you've got the paper plates. Oh, brother, you forgot to order the porta potties. Not a problem, just get a hold of Western Waste Services today. Always at your disposal, 734-6969. You don't want everybody traipsing through your house? Call. Get the porta potties at Western Waste Services, 734-6969. Want to also remind you about our dear friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, and of course teaming up with Lennox Home Comfort Systems and offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new home comfort system. Better check it out. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459 and find out more. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, serving you. Oh my goodness, and one more good word before we go to our guest. I want to remind you that I'm choking to death about our dear friends in Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear friend Joel Heward, his family, and his staff, always taking care of you and your family. And they know that providing the families they serve with the best possible comfort and support, and always the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. It's a really tumultuous time when there's the passing of a loved one. They can and they will help you. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. It is Monday, and I absolutely enjoy the visit with this next man. He is like me. He's fighting the NRBs and fighting Nitwits Anonymous. Here he is, President of Americans for Limited Government, Richard Manning.
How you doing, Zeb? Fighting Nitwits Anonymous. You know, the problem with Nitwits is they don't stay anonymous.
Well, the NRBs don't either, and those are the not real brights, and I'm talking about some of the news media.
Yeah, well, they definitely, you'd think, there just seems to be so many of them, though. There's swarms and swarms of them. Anyway, so what's going on today? What do you want to talk about?
I want to ask you, explain something to me. I'm an old man, and maybe something has slithered by me that I can't understand, which is potentially possible. But what is right now the current constitutional crisis? Please explain that to me.
Oh, man. Well, it depends on who's defining it, but the current constitutional crisis from the left is that the Attorney General of the United States will not violate the law when Congress tells him to. That's what the Democrats are claiming is a constitutional crisis. Now, of course, the real constitutional crisis has nothing to do with the Mueller investigation or any of that stuff. The constitutional crisis is that we had our intelligence services politicized and used in political campaigns. It appears that it happened in 2015. We had the court that was set up to try to stop the intelligence services from violating privacy laws was used. It became a rubber stamp for that process, and now we have now Bill Barr is trying to get to the bottom of it, and as a result, the Democrats are now saying that he's causing a constitutional crisis and that the president's causing a constitutional crisis by trying to drill down and find out what the heck happened. And so I guess in some way, the constitutional crisis is the fact that we're finally trying to get to the bottom of how the Democrats tried to corrupt the system, or corrupted the system so completely, to allow for a spying investigation on a presidential campaign strictly because they had the audacity of running against the favored opponent. But looking into that is a constitutional crisis in the modern parlance in the Orwellian world we live in.
Let me ask you this. I'm sure that you've been to the store or some kind of a novelty store, and you've seen a poster and a picture of a little bitty kitty cat with one paw stuck at the end of a knot on a rope and it kind of hanging there. That, to me, is the image right now of the Democratic Party. They have nothing under their feet to stand on, and this is like a last hair-burning event for them to try to get Trump out of office. Would you agree or disagree?
I agree 100%. If you went to Vegas and you put it all on red and it turned up black, what they effectively are doing now is they're arguing that the spin of the wheel wasn't fair, and that somehow while the ball should have ended up in one of the red numbers, it instead unfairly landed in the black number, and they need to get a redo because, after all, it's just not fair. Well, they put it all on red, and they lost, and so they are exactly that kitten hanging by a claw, trying to scramble and justify anything, and they have a lot of people with stakes in the game, not just political candidates, but major corporations, MSNBC, CNN, and which is NBC, Comcast, NBC Universal, and AT&T, Time Warner, with major stakes in this game. Disney Corporation, which owns ABC, has a major stake in this game. And so guess what's going to happen? They're going to have a lot of resources thrown at trying to convince the judges, the American people, that they really did turn up on black, and they really won. in spite of all objective evidence.
You know, when you say that, I guess my question is, out here in Idaho, most of my audience can see through this phony smokescreen and understand this is kind of the Democrats' last trumpet blast. But what about back there on the East Coast, and for that matter across the entirety of the United States, with people that are subjected maybe not to cable news, but just ABC, CBS, and NBC? What are their thoughts? Are they really getting the information to make them kind of raise their eyebrows and question what's happening?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the president's approval number is going up as this proved to be false, has shown that the American people are getting it. I think that a lot of the reasons that the president's approval numbers were below where one would think with a booming economy was because people didn't really feel like they had permission to say that they supported the president because of all this Russia collusion stuff. And now that that's off the table, I think most people are getting it, that that's off the table, and that this was a big fraud. Now, whether or not they think, say 65% of people think they want to get to the bottom of what caused it. So, yeah, I think the word is getting out about what's going on, and the last proof point is CNN is down to about 750,000 viewers, and it is becoming, I think it's the 18th most watched cable network now.
Oh my!
And as a result, they have basically they have lost any credibility they have in terms of regular viewership, and so the people who watch CNN, 750,000, are essentially used to being subjected to theories, and they're clinging to those theories pretty aggressively. Unfortunately, the people who watch that tend to be people who sit around in Washington, D.C., New York, and L.A., as opposed to the rest of the country. But that's but those are, that's where we're at. I think the word's gotten out. I think people basically have rejected the narrative that the president was somehow colluding with Russia, and they want the current president to be able to do his job and be left alone by these clowns.
Speaking of clowns, I've got to interject a little clown event that took place the other day in Russia. I don't know if you saw this or not, but Vladimir Putin, always trying to project himself as the He-Man of Russia, going shirtless, riding horses, etc., he put on a hockey uniform and was skating across the ice, hit the rug that was put out there to walk on, and he went face first. Wasn't that great?
And the cameraman who didn't cut away,
No.
away in time, is hiding himself in a nice gulag. The guy who put the carpet out is not having a very good life either. So yeah, it's pretty humorous, but I hate to be the people responsible for the rug.
No kidding.
Setting up the media event. Anybody associated with that media event is seeking immigration as rapidly as possible, because that's just, he's not a... they don't have the same system we have, let's put it that way.
Let me ask you this. I have said for a long time on this program, and as long as you've been on this program with me every Monday, we both agreed and concurred with this. It's not Russia I'm worried about. I couldn't care less about a little bitty economy in a great big country because they don't have the ways and means to really stand up to anybody right now. It's China. And I've said that on this program for years. I'm more afraid of China and what they can do, will do, and they don't care how they do it. And now it's starting to come to fruition with the tariff and trade wars, and yet there's people in this country that go, oh, don't make waves. We don't want to upset the apple cart. I do. I want to upset the apple cart because I don't want China to take over everything. Am I wrong?
You're 100% correct. It's first of all, to make the Russia point, Russia is Mexico with nukes. Okay? That's what Russia is. In terms of economic size, that's who they are. They're Mexico with nukes. So just think about that, and when you think about Russia and their economic power and the like. Without nukes, we would pay no attention to them whatsoever. China, on the other hand, is the second largest economy in the world. They're growing. They're still growing, although they are heading into recession, which is good. they have a massive workforce advantage over us in that they have hundreds of millions of more people to produce things than we have, just based on the fact we have a $300 million population. They've got a 1.1 trillion population. So a billion population, I'm sorry. So so they have about 3 times the workforce that we do. And it is they're a growing economy. What's more, they have dominated, they've made a point of abusing our trade laws in such a way but gave them a competitive advantage. They put massive tariffs on the U.S. goods that get sent to China, and we basically allow their goods to come into America at a significant discount because we gave them most favored nation status or permanent normalized trade relations status back in 2000. So for the last almost 18, 19 years, we've been providing China with a competitive advantage in terms of accessing our economy, while we, in fact, were not able to access theirs. General Motors and other companies have chosen to export jobs to China, and China is the number one market for General Motors automobiles right now, but all automobiles are built in China. And so it's not like we're building automobiles at the Lordstown plant and we're sending them or in Flint, Michigan, and we're sending them to China. General Motors set up shop in China and is building vehicles in China, and in fact has been trying to figure out how to import Chinese-made vehicles by General Motors into the United States and still be able to do it as a U.S. company. So it's an interesting dynamic that we have. In the 50s, we said what's good for General Motors is good for America. Today, what's good for General Motors is generally good for China. And that's the transition that we've seen because of the trade rules that we have. President Trump is attempting to change those trade rules. He's attempting to say to China, you want to have access to our markets, that's fine, but you're going to play by a set of rules. And it's not, and there's some winners and losers aspects to this that there always are in trade. But by and large, the things he's trying to do is protect intellectual property, so they don't steal the intellectual research that we create, steal that, and then use it for their own benefit, and then sell it back to us. Secondly, they're trying to do something called forced technology transfer. What the Chinese have done is to say, if you want access to our corporations, if you want access to Chinese markets, and Chinese markets are large, if you want access to Chinese markets, then you have to allow for your technology to be shared with Chinese companies. What the Chinese then do is when they do that technology transfer, they then build 2 plants for every 1 plant that the U.S. manufacturer builds, and they flood the market with Chinese government-subsidized goods, drive the U.S. manufacturer out of the business, and effectively take over the market with a period of 5 to 10 years. So forced technology transfer is a big deal. We're trying to get them to stop that. We're trying to get them to stop manipulating the currency. They've got their currency pegged, the yuan pegged to the dollar. And so whenever our dollar floats on the market, their currency floats along with ours, but it stays at the same relative exchange rate. So their prices are always cheaper than our prices domestic and when they sell here, and our prices are always higher than their prices when we try to sell there. On top of that, they have dramatically higher tariffs on U.S. goods than we have, and so it's an unfair trade situation. President Trump's trying to fix that.
Rick, do you feel, or fear, I should say, that the trade and tariff war could possibly escalate into a real war? Are you concerned about the attitude of the Chinese, like we're going to squash you like a bug attitude?
The Chinese will not do that for a simple reason. China plays long games. They don't play short games. And they believe they will win over time. And so any concession that they have to give to Donald Trump, they believe they will just ignore it in the next administration and test that administration to see if they have the same spine that Trump does. And so they play, because of that long game, they don't fight battles that they don't think they're going to win or they don't know they're going to win. So no, I don't think we will end up in that situation. I'd be completely contrary to the Chinese character for that to occur.
I want to talk a little bit about politics right now and the absolute lunacy that's going on in the Democratic Party, whether it's Pete Buttigieg or whether it's Kamala Harris, Cory Booker. And now there was talk this morning that the dream team ticket would be for the Democrats, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Please tell me your thoughts on that dream team ticket.
Joe Biden will not be the nominee, first of all. That may be the dream team ticket for the Biden people's perspective, but remember, they supposedly reached out to the woman who lost the election in Georgia for Georgia governor,
right,
and Stacey, I think, Abrams,
right,
and asked her to be the vice president candidate back a month and a half ago. So this is a creation of the Democrat establishment of trying to lock down some normalcy, and what they would see as normalcy. Kamala Harris, is proving to be. She was my person I think would get the nomination first of all, but she's proving to be a less than dynamic candidate on the national stage. Biden has a massive problem that he will not survive and politically survive, and that is a twofold problem. It's a Ukrainian and a Chinese problem, and both revolve around sweetheart deals that his kid got from the Ukrainian government and from the Chinese government as a direct result of a Biden-led trade mission to both of those countries. And immediately afterwards, his kid, Hunter Biden, made a lot of money and got a pretty big deal that he would not have gotten otherwise. And so Joe Biden has a problem in that he effectively got more money from these countries into his family than the Clintons ever dreamed of, and he was much more clumsy in doing it. So as people start exploring that, I think his viability as a candidate is going to go bye-bye. Lastly, his connection with Ukraine. Ukraine is going to be the center of this entire ongoing Mueller investigation, the end of Mueller, now Barr investigation. Mm-hmm. Ukraine is the center of that. It is the absolute epicenter of the entire thing. And so we have and Biden's relationship with the Ukrainians, where he got a prosecutor fired who was investigating into a corruption with a gas company that his son was receiving $50,000 a month payments from as a board member. That's going to be a big problem for the former vice president, and he will be fortunate if he does not end up in jail. As opposed to being in the White House.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. The lightsaber shining in the darkness of the dim Democrats' minds. And that's, of course, President of Americans for Limited Government, Richard Manning, my friend. God bless you, and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, buddy. Anytime.
All right. Take care of yourself. Thank you. I just really enjoy that man and all of his commentary. He knows, and he doesn't flower things up. He just says it like it is. Thank you, Richard Manning. Again, President of Americans for Limited Government. I really was blessed when he first came on the program and has decided to come back every week. I really appreciate it. Want to remind you about our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Hello, Jeff and the rest of the crew at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. My goodness, are you having a hard time getting a good night's sleep, Bunky? Well, let me tell you, they've got a big mattress sale going on right now. And you can find just the mattress that you want for the budget that you have. I'm telling you what, you better get in there today and check it out. Great savings and great people are going to help you pick the right mattress so you can enjoy a good night's sleep. And also check out all the floor coverings, all the furniture, all the recliners, all the bedroom sets. Oh my goodness, what a store. What a store. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see those great folks today. Again, a reminder that Lunch Bunch is going to be next week on the 23rd. Yours truly made a mistake last week, and I apologize for it. Oh, I felt so humble. I said the wrong day. I said it was this week. It's not. Lunch Bunch is going to be at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, on the 23rd. Don't forget that. While we have a moment, I want to talk about Let's Ride. Oh, get your motor running. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. You know, after this last weekend, celebrating Mother's Day and everything, everybody said, wow, the weather was fantastic. Well, get out and enjoy some more of the great times outdoors with maybe the watercrafts that are available over at Let's Ride, or the four-wheelers or the side-by-sides. Oh, my goodness, you've got to enjoy life, and this is where the fun is sold. At 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. Don't forget the best of great people serving you at Let's Ride. We are going to welcome to our program this morning a gentleman that has not been on my show before, but I cannot wait to hear more about his philosophy on what's happening in our schools, lack of security, and really what we've got to do to tighten it down so that our kids can go to school and be safe. And I want to say a good morning to Sheriff Richard Mack. How are you, sir? Good to have you on the program.
Well, thank you so much. I'm doing great. And I was wondering if I'd ever been on your show before, because I've done thousands of them across America. And I thought, no, I do not know that name, but I'm certainly proud to be on with you. Thank you for having me.
Well, it means a lot to me to have you on the air because you're a common sense sheriff. You're a common sense approach to what needs to be done to make the situation with our schools and everything else a lot safer. Before I go into a lot of questions about gun control and protecting our kids on school campuses, Sheriff Mack, give us a little background about yourself. I understand that, quite frankly, you're no stranger to the Intermountain area.
No, I'm not. I've been, in fact, I've been to all 50 states, but I've been to Idaho quite a bit, and I've been all throughout the Southwest and West, a great deal, California included, talking about the principles of liberty that our country was founded upon, talking about the oath of office that all of us as public officials swear to, and I really got my name across the media nationally when I was sheriff in Arizona, in southeast Arizona, in Graham County. I actually sued the Clinton administration to stop the gun control associated with the Brady Bill. And the Brady Bill was the first time in American history where the president and Congress were trying to literally force sheriffs in this country to work for them for free in order to implement the gun control in the Brady Bill. And I said, no, there's two things wrong with that. First of all, the president and Congress cannot tell sheriffs what to do. I know that surprises a lot of people, but they cannot unless you want to go along with them willingly or they pay you with grants and bribes. But the sheriff is independent and he only works for the people of this county. The second problem is I swore an oath of allegiance to the Second Amendment through the Constitution itself, and I'm not going to violate that because the president or other people want me to because somebody donated to their campaign. So there were two fundamental issues there, the Second Amendment and the 10th Amendment. We sued on the 10th Amendment, and this is the only time in history where sheriffs, and there was only 6 of us, and I was the one who started the whole thing. There were only seven sheriffs across the country, 6 besides me, who sued the federal government and won a case at the United States Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only time in history where that has ever happened, and it's a huge, monumental case. I just wish that people would read it and follow it.
Absolutely.
And then I spent 20 years in law enforcement, and I've written several books about all of this, especially the power of the county sheriff, and that book is The County Sheriff, America's Last Hope. Most of the sheriffs in Idaho and the West have that book, or at least they did a few years ago. And we probably need to send it again. But I really feel that the answer to today's problems is the Constitution and liberty. And if we get back to those principles, we're going to solve these problems.
Sheriff Mack, I am a gun owner, and I'm proud of it. What I have or what number of guns I have is no one else's business. And I have the guns primarily and purposely for my enjoyment of hunting on occasion and then also self-protection here living in a rural area on a ranch. I absolutely do not want anything to infringe on my rights of the Second Amendment to protect me, my family, and my property. And it seems like every day there is a concentrated effort, more so, by the candidates that are running for president on the Democratic side of the ticket to take away my guns and stifle and stop the Second Amendment. Where are we, in your opinion, to that danger?
Well, now I'm a school teacher, which is kind of crazy, and I've been a school resource officer, so I teach these things. I actually teach American history and Constitution government. And we've discussed these issues with the class. And where we go first in our class is right here where I want to answer your question. That is there lawful authority for these candidates who almost all of them are legislators at one time or another, like Biden? He's not anything right now, but he certainly has been a vice president and a senator. And most of them right now are senators or governors or mayors. And I want my class, I want my students to know and understand every idea that politicians come up with does not grant automatic legislative authority. In fact, the Constitution protects us, and this even is in my Supreme Court decision. The Constitution protects us from our own best intentions. So, meaning that good ideas are just that, but they do not grant lawful authority. And so the problem with gun control, though, it's not a good idea. The places where we have strict gun control in America is where we have the most crime and violence and gun violence. And so where we need to go with this is, one, try to never vote for anybody who's purporting or supporting gun control. Gun control in the United States of America is against the law. If you look at the Idaho Constitution, if you look at the original states in this country and what they said about it, Maine's Constitution, I love Maine's Constitution. It said the right to keep and bear arms shall not be questioned. And that is exactly what the Second Amendment means in the federal Constitution. And we need more people who understand the law instead of these lawless Democrats who want us to break the law, and that they're even touting that they will break the law. They're not going to repeal the Second Amendment. They're just going to ignore it. They're going to go around it. They're going to subvert it. And they are going to break the supreme law of the land. And if you want to talk about an impeachable offense, that is one.
Sheriff Mack, let me ask this question, and I'm sure that you follow the news with your class every day. But we have proposed candidates like Cory Booker that has basically come out and advocated a gun confiscation program comparable and similar to what happened in Nazi Germany and other countries, Venezuela as of recent dates. All of this to the, it seems, millennial generation sounds good. What about your students and the young people that you talk to? Do they see through this smoke screen?
Yeah, well, we have every kind of political background in my classes. I have about 145 students. So there's definitely Democrats, and I start with the basics, and I said, for the most part, I will not lie to any of you. But you have been lied to. First of all, most of them believe that we're a democracy. Yet you won't find that word in any of our foundational documents. And these politicians keep touting our democracy, democracy,
Right.
So, well, why didn't George Washington talk about our democracy then? And why do we pledge to the Republic and the Pledge of Allegiance? And why do we have a Constitution? And why are we the only country in the world to have such a wonderful freedom-based Constitution where we're based on the power of we the people? I believe that the high school students in this country, where they're really learning the principles upon which America was founded, But I think we're dumbing them down in most schools. I don't think they're teaching the truth. And that's why I really love this school. It's based on, well, the building that we meet in is a replica of Independence Hall. And so that kind of gives you an idea of what we do here. It's very fundamental. The Founding Fathers are the forefront of what we teach. And, we tell people that when you come to this school, you're going to learn the fundamentals of our Constitution and Declaration of Independence. If you put the politicians that are running for president right now to that test, they all get a big F, at least on the Democrat side, and Cory Booker is one of the worst ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Sheriff Mack, I want to talk to you a little bit about school shootings, whether it's the mess that's happened now twice in Colorado and other areas around the United States. In your opinion, what can we do to alleviate or eliminate the soft targets for these cowards to go on campus or go in churches, etc., and just basically massacre people? What can we do? What are the answers?
Well, the first easy one is to shoot back, and I'm serious about that. I don't have my tongue in my cheek at all on that. The would-be assassins in this country, if you've ever been to a prison, and if you've ever interviewed them, any of the prisoners that have already been arrested, you ask any of them if they commit burglaries or rapes or robberies. You can ask any of them, do you hope that the people that you're trying to victimize, do you hope that they're carrying a gun? And because, of course, the left says, well, you don't want to carry a gun because they'll take it away from you and use it on you. Thus far, in all of the people that I've ever interviewed, and there's been lots of other interviews of suspects, they hope to avoid any place where somebody is armed. And that's the same thing with our school shootings, and we announce, of course, stupidly, very ignorantly, that our schools are all gun-free zones, so that any thug that's armed that wants to go in and commit such a heinous act of just taking target practice on humans, they know pretty much that they're not going to be confronted by somebody with a gun. We must change that. We've got to change that attitude, and we've got to change it. What do you prefer as a parent? What would you prefer? That the school announce to the world that we are unarmed and that there are no guns here, or that if you come onto this campus with a firearm, you will be confronted with lethal force? And I believe that if you just look at all the situations, go back to the 80s. If you look at all the school shootings and some of the church and other places where this has happened, if you look at all of them, the suspect, the coward doing this, he either, as soon as he feels or thinks or sees that there's somebody with a gun there, whether it be a cop or a citizen, it doesn't make any difference. They either commit suicide, they run away, or they give up. What we need, to answer your question most specifically, what we need in this country is to make that quicker and faster. So there has to be a response inside the school. There must be a defense mechanism inside the school. And arming teachers is exactly why we formed NeighborhoodAlliancePAC.com. NeighborhoodAlliancePAC.com.
Sheriff Mack, how would you, if all of a sudden you were appointed as the czar, if you will, of trying to protect our school children across the board, what would you do as far as the admittance to the school systems? Maybe a single entry? Would there be chain link fences? Would there be resource officers armed at all the entry points? I mean, what are your ideas on how to make our kids safer in the school system?
Well, first of all, there's not enough money, I believe, to have enough police officers at every school. Most school districts now have a resource officer that bounces around to other schools. There's a lot of states that have an officer assigned to all the major high schools. But there's too many schools to assign an officer full-time to all of those.
That's right.
Like I said, I used to do it. I used to have the entire Provo School District, which was 12 schools, and I would bounce around each one. I would like to see a metal detector in every school. They're not, I mean, they're a lot cheaper than paying for an officer full-time. And right now, most of the schools are so vulnerable to somebody bringing in a knife, even a screwdriver, or a gun. I mean, the school I teach at, there's no way to detect if anybody has a gun on them. I would like to see that, but I definitely would like to see, if I was the czar, if President Trump would appoint me the czar over school safety for this country, I would start identifying teachers who have either experience as in military or police work, just like myself, get those people trained, and then get anybody else that is proficient in firearms, get them trained. And again, I don't want to force any teacher to do this. And I don't want to carry a gun on my person at school. But there are plenty of places in this school and across the country where guns can be strategically placed and hidden very well, very easily, very effectively, to where if something started, there's 5 to 10 teachers ready, armed, and respond immediately. That would save hundreds of lives across the country, and I believe it would be a tremendous deterrent to any of these shootings ever again.
Absolutely. Sheriff Mack, we have a caller with a question and a comment. Go ahead, caller. Quickly, you're on the air, please.
Morning, Zeb. I would like to see military personnel who's come home, who's either out due to whatever reason, that's had the experience in a firefight, who's been shot at and shot back. When bullets start flying, things change and people's mentality changes. And give them something to do, and it'd be a great asset to us, I really, really feel. And as far as our kids, we need to start teaching. People need to take the onus the parents do at home and teach them the right from wrong. I'm 38 years old. When I was in high school, we took shotguns to school with us or a rifle, because who knows where we were going after school to go hunting for a little bit. And no one ever thought about shooting up a school. We did think about beating each other's brains out with our fists, but that was it. And I'll let you go.
Respond to the caller, if you would, please, Sheriff Mack. He brought up some good points.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And you know what? Using former military and volunteers, we're totally in favor of that. Anything and everything that we can utilize within the community to keep our schools safer and to get people involved. I mean, we're totally in favor of every bit of that. This isn't just a one-option deal for us, and we would love to have the additional help.
Sheriff Mack, let me ask this in the remaining time of our interview here this morning. What is the difference, and I underline that word difference, in the mindset of when you and I were kids going to school? I mean, what about the mental health or the mental instability of a lot of these kids today that would create them to want to do such a heinous act as going into a school and shooting up with their peers? What about the mental aspects that need to be addressed?
Well, the one thing on that is I'm really against the constant dumbing down of screen time that our children have in this country. Their lack of focus. I believe a lot of the screen time is a form of brainwashing. I'm really concerned about that. But there's another thing that you and I didn't have when we were growing up. I'm 66 years old. I don't know how you all, but you sound like you're in my generation.
I am. I am.
So when you and I were growing up, did we shove all these drugs down kids? The Prozac, the Zoloft, these are very mind-altering drugs. Most of those drugs now required by the FDA to have warnings about suicide, that they cause suicide. I actually testified before the FDA about 15 years ago on that. They're extremely dangerous. They do cause violent tendencies and suicide, and these drugs are supposed to be stopping that sort of thing. But you add the drugs that we shove down our kids today, and not just the Zolofts and the Prozac, but you took at all the drugs that we shoved down our kids they go way crazy. I'm not going to go into all of them because there isn't time. But you look at all of that, and then you look at the screen time that children in the United States have. It's astonishing. The interaction between families is killed by screen time, and it's really sad. And I think we need to look at the structure of the family in America. We need to look at having a mother or father in the home, and we also need to look at the drug abuse and screen time.
Absolutely. I have time for one more quick caller. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air, please.
Zeb, I'll make this statement and then get off. My thinking, and I've said this in the past, is in our grade schools we need a form of ROTC programs and which teach camaraderie amongst the students, and I'll listen to his statement, Zeb.
Sheriff Mack, would you respond to the caller about the ROTC?
Yeah, I love that. We actually have some schools that do that, and we're actually having now some high schools that start a police academy program inside the school. I'm all for the discipline that both of those provide. Our children do need to learn more discipline, and I will tell you, that's a great idea, and I'd be all for it.
Last thought, Sheriff Mack. Tell my audience, I don't care where it is, if it's in our capital city of Boise or whether it's in a little area like I live in called Murtaugh, it can happen anywhere, and people need to be cognizant and aware. What would you tell my audience that they should watch for as far as some telltale signs that maybe trouble is brewing?
Well, the students are the best ones to talk to about that, and the Parkland, Florida killing, they had 32 reports on that suspect, Doug. And the one in just recently in Colorado on Highland Ranch, they had some reports there. The problem is the system doesn't respond appropriately, and we need to make sure that those of us that are in a power position, whether it be principal or teacher or police or sheriff's office, that we take appropriate action to try to get these kids singled out and to make sure that they're getting the help they need before we have these types of incidents. But if we do, we need to make sure that we're ready and that we respond and that we protect these innocent children instead of like in the one in Colorado recently, 3 kids end up tackling the suspect and one of those gets killed. Those are heroes, true heroes. And my hat's off to Kendrick Castillo, who did that.
Absolutely. Well, there you go with our first interview, and now I'm going to put you on the hook, Sheriff Richard Mack. You got to come back. Promise to do so.
Oh, I absolutely will. I'd love to. In fact, I'd even love to do that in studio if we could do it sometime.
I would love it, my friend, and thank you. God's blessings to you, and we wish you the very best. Thank you so much for being on the program this morning.
You're welcome. See you soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sheriff Richard Mack, and he's been in law enforcement all of his life, a champion of constitutional values and founder of the Neighborhood Alliance, Arm the Teachers. I just really enjoyed having him on the program, and believe me, he's going to be one of the guests that we do invite back. Thank you very much. Right now it's time for the weather. Holy moly, past time for the weather, actually. And our weather brought to you this hour by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. They've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cache area for well over 50 years with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, payroll services, retirement planning, all of this and so much more. Please, they've got 2 offices serving you in Burley and Rupert. The very best, Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Enjoy the sunshine while we can because it looks like rain showers are going to be in the forecast later this week. Here's what we're looking at for today. Mostly sunny skies, slight chance of afternoon thunderstorms, isolated rain showers, mostly sunny skies. Winds are going to be out of southeast at about 5 miles an hour, expecting a high of 80. Tonight looks like the clouds are going to be moving into the valley, expecting a low of 51, burning off by tomorrow. Mostly sunny skies, high of 81. Then the clouds are going to be back for Tuesday night with a low of 52. By Wednesday, mostly cloudy skies, cooling off to 78 with an overnight low of 54. Thursday and Friday, we do have a 30 to 50% chance of rain showers and thunderstorms. Cloudy skies for Thursday, expecting a high of 70. By Friday, expecting a high of 80. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, Gina does a great job on our weather. Thank you. And it's brought to you by our friends at Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. And I mean, they've been in business for over 50 years serving you. Serving you. Their professionalism, and they can help. Absolutely give them a call today. Make an appointment. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. Wow, I hope that all the moms out in the audience had a wonderful Mother's Day yesterday. The weather was phenomenal. The weekend was great. And I want to thank my wonderful daughter, Toby. We went up there for brunch yesterday morning, her family and Deanne and myself. It was just a great Mother's Day. And Deanne, you're the best. Thank you so much for all you do. She's been a phenomenal mom, and I'm pretty proud of her. I really am. I want to remind you somebody else that you can be proud of, too, and they can help you with all your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, and employee benefits. And who am I talking about? Well, that is Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. My, the number to give them a call, make an appointment, is 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Dedicated and very responsive to your needs. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Number again, 436-4424. This is so petty and so ridiculous. Did you hear that now on your computers and your iPhone, smartphones, etc., there is a gender-neutral emoji? Yeah, you can use that now because you don't want to offend anyone. You don't want to offend anyone that doesn't know who or what they are. So you can use the gender-neutral emojis. Doesn't that just point the finger, folks, at how dumb a society we've become? I mean, this is absolutely insane. We've got to be so afraid of offending someone that doesn't know what restroom to use. Unbelievable. Coming up next hour, we have a very interesting guest. Now, I hope and I pray when I say this, that the connection is going to be good via the phone. My old buddy Wheels over at the main studio is going to be helping me make sure that we try to get him on the air. He's over in Rome, Italy, when we call him this morning, and his name is Steve Mosher, and he's an American social scientist, really understands what's going on with China and the trade wars, and Steve Mosher is going to be on at 10:06. Then, at 10:30 this morning, the lovely Miss Vicky with the program Green Thumbs, Dirty Knees, and Vicky's Country Garden. So that's what's coming up. We're going to send this back over to our main studio in just a moment. Quickly, I want to give you this reminder that the 5th annual Idaho Roll Call Memorial Ride is going to be Saturday, June 1st, and it's going to start at 7th and Scott in Rupert. They're going to have food. They're going to have a great program at 1 o'clock at the Idaho Roll Call Monument, and my good friend George Mass is going to be on the air in a couple days. We're going to tell you more about this. Right now, we're going to go to the news from CBS. We'll be right back. And a good morning to you on kind of a slightly overcast morning right now. Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday, and of course brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best in tires. Stop in and see these good folks today. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, that are helping you get back to being you. We're going to have our guest on the air in just a moment. Stand by, but I want to remind you, too, about Ramsey Heating and Electric and, of course, Lennox Home Comfort Systems. They're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new system. Comfort systems at their best with Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Call them today at 678-0459. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Also, real quick, on Thursdays, we have a segment called Cassia County School Days where we really highlight the best of teachers and different school programs, and it's brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. Don't forget, it's a family store, and they are there to serve you with everything for the wee ones, whether it's furniture, clothing, and, of course, the best of games, puzzles, and toys, and for us older folks, all the Cherokee scrubs, etc., all at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. I have waited patiently to have this gentleman on my program this morning because I cannot wait to hear his remarks about China, the tariffs, the trade deals, everything else that we should all be concerned about with a country that has no reservations in trying to be the biggest and the best country in the world, and that's China. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome a gentleman that really knows, and that is Stephen Mosher. Good morning, Stephen. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. Here in Rome, Italy.
Well, how is the weather right now in Rome, Italy? I would imagine it's a little hot and maybe a little humid this morning, correct?
Well, it's only 72 to 75 degrees today, so it's beautiful spring weather here in what we call the Eternal City, which has been here for 3,000 years. Of course, China's history extends back 3,000 years, too, but they went in a very different direction. Instead of having a Senate with a rule of law the way that Rome did, they had a dictator called the emperor who considered himself to be kind of a god emperor. And we have a god emperor in Beijing today by the name of Xi Jinping doing the same thing that China's done over the centuries.
Stephen, when you look and analyze what's going on in China today, you probably saw this coming. I mean, you've written a book called Journey to the Forbidden China. You know all about the people, the philosophy, the concepts of what they're trying to do. How afraid should we, the United States of America, be afraid of China?
Well, think of it this way. If you're a Christian, you should be very afraid of China because China is tearing down Christian churches and requiring every Christian to download an app on their phone so that they can study the works of Xi Jinping, China's new Red Emperor, and for half an hour every day and answer questions. So it's kind of self-administered brainwashing. Now, if you're a capitalist, someone who makes money by buying and selling things, which is a good thing, you should be afraid of China because China controls all businesses in China. Any business of any size has to have a Communist Party cell, and the head of the Communist Party cell is in de facto charge of the company. You may be allowed as a businessman to make some decisions, but ultimately the party leader in the company calls the shots. That's why Huawei, the phone company, where the executive vice president of Huawei is sitting in a Canadian jail now because we're trying to extradite her down here because they've been stealing our technology. Huawei claims to be a private company. It's actually locked, joined at the hip to the Chinese Communist Party. There are no really private companies in China anymore. So, I mean, there are lots of reasons to be worried about China's military buildup, its determination to dominate not just its neighbors, but to dominate the entire world.
When you say dominate the entire world, are they capable as a people and as a regime government, are they capable of having no semblance of humanity whatsoever and try to take over the world by complete force and terror? Or is this something that's going to be done by economics?
Well, I think economics is the leading edge. It's the cutting edge. It's the Belt and Road Initiative is called. China is spending trillions of dollars trying to lure countries in Eurasia, Africa, and Latin America into signing deals with China. The arrangement goes like this. China will give you $1 billion and help you build a railroad terminal or a port facility. But they insist on their military construction engineers coming in and building the port facility. And when you can't pay back the loan because it was a bad idea to begin with, they confiscate the port facility, the rail terminal, bring in their own people, their own security personnel, and guess what? They have a semi-colony in your country. That's happened in Sri Lanka off the coast of India. It's happening in Djibouti right now, and several other African countries are falling into China's debt trap. it's a form of neo-colonialism. It's a form of taking over a country without actually invading it with military force. Yeah, it goes well beyond that.
Stephen, let me ask you this question. All the presidents prior to Trump seem to glad hand and basically kowtow to China, and I think they've exacerbated the problem to where it is today, and President Trump, to use the phrase that was on your information sheet, drops the hammer on China and said, this is the way we're going to play the game from now on. Is it too late in the game to change things?
Well, I think it would have been too late in the game if the 2016 election had turned out differently, and we had 8 years more appeasement of China, more turning a blind eye to its currency manipulation, more ignoring the fact that they were ripping off $600 billion of intellectual property from us a year, if we were not paying attention to the fact that they were selling $5 worth of stuff to us for every dollar they buy from us. If we were not paying attention to the fact that they're forcing American companies, if American companies want to do business in China, they have to transfer their cutting-edge technology. They have to hand over the crown jewels of their technology to China. They have to go into a joint venture with a Chinese company, and guess what? Their crown jewels are stolen, and once they are squeezed dry of technology, they're squeezed back out of China. So it's a game that China's been playing now very effectively for 30 years, and most Fortune 500 companies have gone into China have learned a hard lesson, and that is it's very hard to make money in China when Chinese officials are constantly changing the rules, coming and making it difficult for you to do business and making it easy for their own nationals to outcompete you.
Let me ask you this. I, of course, am living in one of the prime agricultural states in the United States, and there are great fears that by calling the cards face up on China that it will hurt the agricultural produce being shipped to China and hurt our nation's farmers. How would you respond to that?
Well, I think Trump is very aware of the fact that China has been trying to use farmers and farm purchases against the United States and against his presidency. They tried to do that in 2016, by the way. The Chinese cut back on purchases, hoping that farm country would turn against Trump. They didn't. They didn't turn against him in 2018, and I don't think they'll turn against him in 2020. Trump has a plan. He believes that the tariffs will raise about $100 billion. He's going to take a chunk of that money and use it to buy American farm products that are not being purchased by China. And then he's the poorer countries around the world where there are starving people. So I think that the farmers needn't be concerned that their crops are going to be wasted. There will be there for their crops. And think about this. China wants to say we're just going to buy soybeans from Brazil. But Brazil has trouble producing enough for China. There's only a certain amount of production in the world market. And eventually this thing is going to settle, and the American farmers are going to be smooth sailing for them again. But in the meantime, Trump is going to take care of the farmers.
What are the bargaining chips, in your opinion, Stephen, to make the Chinese delegation go back to the table and basically kind of bow their heads and say, okay, we're ready to renegotiate what we talked about a week ago? What are the chips?
Well, the main thing is access to the American market, access to American capital, access to American technology. We need to cut off China from those things as long as it's not playing by the rules. And look, I don't see any real hope that China is going to start playing by the rules because they have in power now in Beijing a new Red Emperor, Xi Jinping, who models himself on Chairman Mao. And like Chairman Mao, he does not want the rule of law. He wants to be able to call all the shots and not be bound by the law or the Constitution. He doesn't want civil society. By that I mean he doesn't want churches or labor unions or any groups that aren't controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. And he certainly doesn't want a free market because he wants to maintain control of the economy directly under a state plan. He thinks that all of these things are threats to the Chinese Communist Party's continued rule. They are. I mean, look, if China went down the road of developing a free market and as a thriving civil society and the rule of law, the rule of the Chinese Communist Party would shortly come to an end. That was our hope, by the way, back in 1979 and 80 when we first opened the doors to China. I was the first American allowed to go to China and do research in that country. And our hope in the 80s was that China would go our way, would become a country that respected human rights, a multi-party democracy. That hasn't happened. They've gone in exactly the opposite direction. This is the worst and most totalitarian high-tech dictatorship that the world has ever seen. Can you imagine the number of video cameras that line Chinese streets more than any other country in the world? The churches, the hundreds of churches that have been torn down. The fact that every company in China has to have a Communist Party cell, and the leader of the cell, of course, dictates to the company chairman how he should behave and what he should do. The level of control in China is just incredible. Hard for Americans to imagine. They have a social credit program in China where if you say or do things the government doesn't like, your credit score goes down. You can't get a loan to buy a house. You can't buy a car. You can't even buy a plane ticket. If you say nice things about the government, if you praise Xi Jinping, the new Red Emperor, your credit score goes up, and you get to do all those things. So this is a level of control that we've never seen before. It's been enabled by high-tech, by machine learning, by artificial intelligence, and by the fact that people carry their smartphones around with them in China so that the government can track everywhere you go and everything you buy and everything you say and almost everything you think. We worry about the masters of the universe in this country, but imagine combine the power of masters of the universe, the Google and Facebook and so forth, with a one-party dictatorship, and you get the worst tyranny the world has ever seen.
We're having a little trouble with the connection, with a little vibrato on the line and everything, Stephen, but I've got to ask you this before I let you go. We have another problem, I think, that concerns us and China and foreign relations with any country, and that is a very naive or sometimes very liberal and easily seduced news media that tries to bend the news away from the real truth. There's a problem right here that the American people don't really understand the problems because the news media is not doing their job. Would you agree with that?
I would, and I would say a lot of our politicians aren't doing their job either. Certainly, we have now in the White House someone who is a businessman first and a politician second, and he understands the deal. And I will tell you that where China is concerned, no deal may be the best deal of all.
You know, I really hope that when you come back to the United States, I can have you back on the air again. I relish the thought of having you for a longer segment, and I want to tell you how much I appreciate your comments here this morning. Stephen Mosher, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy Italy, and God bless you, sir. Thank you again.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. Great man to have on the program talking about China. I knew that when I set this segment up, I knew that with the distance all the way from here to Rome, Italy, and then on a cell phone, oh, you're playing Russian roulette. I knew that, and I talked to Wheels this morning at the station. I said, guess what, Wheels? We've got a gentleman that's going to be on our program that's going to be basically calling in from Rome, Italy on a cell phone, and I could just see his eyes roll back and say, oh, yeah, you want to bet? But anyway, it came off fairly well. It got a little fuzzy and vibrato at times, but the main point is that he was sharing with us, we, the United States, have got to be much more aware and cognizant of the dangers of not what the news media says, Russia. It's not. It's China. We need to wake up and smell the coffee. I've got time for a couple of calls, and I really would appreciate those calls. I mean, if you listen to that man's remarks and you got a comment to make, give me a jingle. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I just heard the last, maybe 3 or 4 minutes of that, and all I could think was, oh, my word. My husband and I sit and watch the news at night and wonder what it is that the Democrats are throwing all of this stuff out there for to hide. And evidently it must be dealings with China and some of the other stuff that we are never made aware of. And to your point, Russia, Russia, Russia.
You know, yeah, absolutely. I have got on this program, and if you'll check the archives and feel free to go to the tapes that are provided easily by our webmaster, John Ellis, on every show. For years, I've said it's not Russia that I'm concerned about at all. They're a minuscule economy in a big country. They're the minuscule economy, like Richard Manning said earlier this morning on the program, the economy of Mexico, but the only problem with Russia is they've got idiots controlling the government that do have nuclear weapons. That's the difference right there. The main threat to the world today is not Russia. The main threat to the world today, with dominance and takeover and absolutely a poor excuse for any kind of human rights, is China. And why can't our news media, why can't our government, in most part, the Democrats especially, they can't understand this?
Well, I think that is so true. And not only that, it keeps the commentators that would have something to say about this busy fighting off all this other garbage that keeps being brought to the forefront. I wish they would just set it aside for a minute and talk about stuff like this. This is stuff I've never heard.
Well, we had to jump through a lot of hoops to get Stephen Mosier on our program this morning, and it was well worth it, because here's a man that's written books about China. Here's a man that has been working with all the past president administrations in this United States. He knows and understands China and the insidious means and methods that they will employ. You heard that they've got an anti-Christian stance in China right now, to where if you're a Christian, you better look for a new residence in a big hurry. And if you're a businessman that's a Christian, you're not wanted over in China. This is the enveloping fog, I'll say, that's coming across the whole world, and China is the superpower that we need to be worrying about. It's certainly not Vladimir Putin trying to skate across the carpet and falling on his face like he did last week.
Well, and instead we get to hear about all these people that are no more than a class clown, or even lower than that, trying to get, it's over and over and over, the same thing you've heard 3 weeks ago, you're hearing again tonight on the news.
Absolutely.
And instead of that, I wish we would hear something like this. It was very interesting. I appreciate it. I'm so sorry I didn't hear the whole portion of it.
I will have him back. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet.
Excuse me for choking in your ear. I apologize. I've been fighting kind of hay fever the last couple of weeks. We have a caller with another comment. Go ahead, caller. I need a drink of water. Go ahead.
Take one. Make sure it's clean. Zeb, since the 50s, from my parents, I was always taught that China was always a threat to
Absolutely.
The other thing is what little bit of Chinese product I bring in here. One of my tractors, I've had to replace the tires. I'm on the third set. The last set were made in India because they were using clay product in them, and they were cracking and breaking down within sometimes 6 months. So with the Chinese product, that I've been looking at and getting here, it's just like throwing a crowbar into the spokes of my operation, and I'm not very big.
The whole thing is, if people would just sit down and analyze the multitudes of people in China, that their lives are completely thwarted by government control. There is no such thing as any freedom of religion, concept of free speech, anything. It's a very anti-human rights society, and they want to take over and control the world, and they've received the dominance because of trade practices that have given them the bulk of the money in favor of the other country. No reciprocity whatsoever. It's about high time, Earl, and I say this and I mean this, that a new marshal came into town, strapped on a gun, and looked at China and said, "Back off, Jack. We're going to do it a new way."
Yeah, we got to get back to American pride here in everything we do, Zeb.
Amen, Earl. God bless you for your call this morning. I appreciate it. Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, sir. To the people that called, I mean, thank you. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. We put forth a lot of effort here to try to get the best and most informative world guests on this program. And I don't think anybody else is doing that in the entire state of Idaho, and I'm proud of that. Caller, I've got 1 minute. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Deb, how deeply involved do you feel that China is in this human invasion of America?
I have no proof or any credible sources to say that they are pushing and pulling people to get in here, but I don't think you'd have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that it would be to their advantage to see our borders go askew and people come in and just denigrate our economy. You can see that that would be a real plus for China.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, my friend, I got to run. Tony, God bless you. Thanks for your call back. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, while I have a moment, and again, I apologize, the old hay fever in the spring of the year with all the pollen and everything, sometimes it hits me. I apologize for that. I want to remind you about our friends at Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Curtis, Lorena, the rest of the folks, they are your electronics needs headquarters. I mean, wow. You go in there, they've got all the complete sound systems and the car stereos and the speakers. Why, they've even got towing hitches over there. The HughesNet internet, and of course all the TVs. The list goes on and on. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. I urge you to stop in and see them today. They're located at 421 East Main in Burley, Patterson's, and the telephone number to call 678-6997. Really great folks. Stop in and enjoy your visit at Patterson's. Right now, we're going to enjoy a visit to the bottom of the hour, and Wheels is going to take us there. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Here I am if I turn the microphone on. Small little problem. Don't forget our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Teamed up for your home comfort systems, and they're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new system. Check it out today. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459 or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. Terms and conditions apply. Your whole home comfort systems with Ramsey's and Lennox. Thank you very much. It is Monday, and waiting on the other end of this telephone line is a beautiful lady that, first and foremost, I owe an apology to that I haven't yet got over to see what is in her front yard as we visit with the lovely Miss Vicky with Green Thumbs, Dirty Knees, and Vicky's Country Gardens. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yeah, and Mr. Rogers isn't wearing a sweater today.
No, he's not. He's actually able to just wear his bib overalls and his T-shirt today.
Well, you know, I owe you that apology. I told you I'd get over there, and I still haven't made it there yet. We've had some things come up around here the last couple of weeks that have tied me to my office. You know how that is. And so I'm going to try to get over there in the next few days. But tell me, I mean, I would imagine that Vicky's Country Garden is just swarming with a lot of people coming over to check on their gardening needs.
Yes, they are. We've had some kind of record-breaking crowds in this weekend with Mother's Day and the nice weather and gardening and everything. So, yeah, everybody's wanting to know if it's time to plant. Yeah, go ahead, get everything in the ground. Just remember, we have still got Memorial Day to go with, and we have to have some protection handy on them plants so that you can cover them if need be.
Okay.
Hopefully we don't need it, but I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Well, okay, with the warmer temperatures, and again, it looks like it's going to fluctuate again a little bit this week. I know that they're talking for 80 and 70, and then all of a sudden, bang, boom, and hiss, boom, bah, on Friday and Saturday, it could drop down in the 50s. How bad is that on the gardening crops?
Well, it's not a problem as long as the night temperatures don't get too cold. I mean, that's the problem is, we're getting that ground temperature up to where seeds are going to germinate good. Plants are going to take a hold good. Everything's working just right for us. And, that's the problem right there is the fact that if we get those cold night temperatures and we get some rain, that brings that ground temperature down, which slows things down, seeds down from germinating. That's why I say, have something, and usually when we get those lows like that, we get wind with it, and that's another thing that's really hard on tomatoes and peppers and, and flowers and the hanging baskets that were bought over the weekend. I mean, that's another thing that gets kind of mean on those, so it's that wind. But just be aware of, we have still got some weather out there. But if you take the right precautions, you should be fine.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask this question on behalf of myself. I've never done this before on this program, but because I'm not much of a gardener, as you well know. But this year, this time of the year, already I've noticed, and maybe I'm the only one that's seen this, I don't know, a real insurgence of huge numbers of wasps already. Am I wrong?
No. The wasps are out there. Actually, this Saturday, evidently, I have a wasp nest somewhere in my tractor, and my husband wouldn't get back at the tractor on Saturday because there was wasps in there, and so I had to be the brave one to climb in and open the windows, and I said, start the tractor and take off, but the air blow them through, it'll blow them out of there, and he just told me to load my own compost, so I just did. But they are bad. Everybody is noticing it. They seem to be getting worse every year, and I don't know why. It's just weird because every year you see more and more and more of them. And it's because I think we go from, they stay so dormant when it's cold, and then when we hit these 80-degree temperatures, man, they just come out in an abundance at that point in time. And we notice them more because we go from nothing to 1 million of them in a matter of a few days.
Well, your husband's not the only one about the tractor. As a matter of fact, they built a nest right under the seat of my new John Deere tractor. And then I noticed this weekend we were sitting outside having an adult beverage with some friends of ours, and I looked up and all the little hanging-downs that Deanne puts up, like the little birdhouses and everything, they were just teeming with these wasps. What can we do about that problem?
Basically, if you can go out of it, either late at night, at dark when it's cool, when they're in the nest, and use the wasp spray that you can stand back about, a few feet, and if you can soak those nests down, you will kill them all in that nest. They'll just drop out of there like nobody's business. It's either that or early in the morning while it's still cool and they're still dormant. Don't try doing it during the middle of the day because you will just upset them to no end, and they will chase you.
But see, that's not fair because I don't chase very easy. I stand in one place.
There you go. See, but if you just kind of watch them and see where they are coming and going from, 9 times out of 10 you will find a nest in there. And yes, they do love birdhouses. They like pipe, corral piping.
Right.
They'll get back into the corral pipe there and build nests. Any place where it's hot and dry, that's their favorite place to get into.
Okay. Now, along with the wasp,
and follow them back to their house. Remember where it's at when they go in at night. Get some of the good wasp spray that will kill them and drop them immediately, and you will start getting rid of them at that because it lasts for probably 24 hours on that wasp nest. So as they come and go, they will come in contact and it'll kill them.
Okay. I was going to ask you about the toxicity of the wasp spray. Is that anything to be concerned about if somebody has allergies or anything?
Well, my suggestion is if you're in doubt, whenever you're spraying any chemical at all, wear a mask.
Okay. All right.
And that way you're not breathing it directly in. I mean, that's your just take your safety precautions. Wear long sleeve shirts, gloves, and mask up. That way, you're protecting yourself against the chemical.
What about the rest? You're right, no kidding. But what about the rest of the bug world? Are we looking for, because of an abundance of moisture in the winter and this spring, are we looking at a big bug year?
Oh, I'm sure we are, yeah. We're going to have, and we didn't have a cold enough winter to really do any major damage to them. That and fungus is going to be just like it was last year. It's going to be popping right out. So if you had trees or anything that had a problem with fungus, like fruit trees and that, get on them right now. Start a good fungicide with them, along with your, rotate between that and your insecticides, and just keep your stuff healthy. But yeah, fungus and bugs are going to be a real trick. Spiders are thick. And we're seeing aphids right now. I've got people coming in with aphid problems and everything right now.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, now another question. I was sitting talking to one of my neighbors the other day, a farmer that lives right up the road from me, and we were talking about crabgrass. And boy, did he get hit last year on a beautiful portion of his front lawn with crabgrass. We suffered through that. What makes crabgrass more prominent and dominant in certain years over others?
Well, it germinates early in the spring, and people don't realize it, and it goes to seed. That's the problem with crabgrass, is it seeds really quick, and it spreads by seed and rhizomes. So you've got a double whammy going with it. But mainly it spreads by seed, and it'll seed out early in the spring when we get these early warm temperatures on the lawns. And if you don't have a pre-emergent down on that crabgrass, to stop those seeds from germinating that have been left from either the year before or that spring when they seed out early, that's when it gets the jump on you. And by the time you realize you've got it, then you've really got to go after it. There are a few chemicals out that will work on crabgrass after it's up and going.
You mentioned on the program once, I think it was last year, Vicki, about some parts of the lawn, and we had that problem for a while, by the flower beds, that it kind of turned into almost a velvety type grass because you said there were larvae or something under the ground that was chewing off the roots. What was that problem?
Okay, sod webworm is the one that you'll start noticing the brown circles in your lawn.
Okay.
They eat the grass right at the root level, right at the top of the root. They chew the roots right up to there. When you reach down and take a hold of that grass, it just comes up with no root on it. There's just nothing there. That's sod webworm, and now's the time to get the chemical down. Mother's Day and the 4th of July are the two time frames to get your chemical down on sod webworm and keep it under control.
Okay. Now, my wife was talking to me about this problem this morning. What about, what should people do that have flower beds, and she's got like 9,373 of them, to kill the grass and also kill the weeds but not hurt the flowers?
Well, killing the grass is an easier problem because we do have a product that is called grass killer, appropriately named. And you could put it right in over perennials and, any kind of like annuals, that type of thing with a broad leaf on it. You can spray it right on a dandelion and it won't hurt the dandelion, but it'll kill the grass that's growing up around it. It's non-selective. It'll kill all kinds of grass. That's one way of eradicating grass out of your flower beds. Unfortunately, if you've got other weeds coming up in your grasses, or in your flower beds, that usually takes a good sharp hoe, unfortunately, to get those out and save, because you can't use 2,4-D on them because that'll kill the existing plants that are in there, plus the weeds. So you have to kind of pick and choose. Grass, though, you can kill in your flower beds with a grass killer.
Okay. Now, what about the Vicky's tip of the week? I can't wait to hear this.
Well, going back to where you just asked the question about the flower beds, how to get rid of the weeds and that in the flower beds. Go through, get them hoed out of there, pulled out, whatever, get it cleaned out completely, and then immediately come in with your pre-emergence on there, water them in. Your existing flowers will grow fine, but the weed seed will not germinate, and you will solve a lot of your weeding problems throughout the summer. There's we have about 3 different kinds of chemical here. We have weed and grass stopper, and we have one that has gallery in it. That's a broadleaf weed killer with gallery that lasts like about 8 months. So if you get it down, if you get your beds cleaned out, get everything planted the way you want, all the weeds out, come right immediately behind with the pre-emergent, water them in, and those weed seeds they will not germinate.
Okay. I almost forgot, Vicki. We did have another note. A lady was calling, and she says, it seems like this year I've already noticed a lot of mice and rodents in my garden area. What can I do to curtail the problem before it gets to the point where I don't have a garden?
They are a problem still. Yes, they are still here. We have not got rid of them. They are a major problem. They do cause a lot of damage in flower beds and gardens. What I've been having a lot of results with is we have some spikes that go in the ground. They're solar powered. They're battery operated. You put them down in the ground. They go down in about 10 inches in the ground, and the sun recharges the battery. They put out a sound and a vibration in the ground that them miserable little things don't like, and they leave. Doesn't kill them, unfortunately. They just leave the area and go back out to the fields.
Okay.
And they cover about 7,500 square feet. A lot of people are using them. They literally will take care of the voles and the mice and even gophers.
Well, I'm going to turn the ball over to you. It's in your court. Any final thoughts that you want to project to my audience this morning?
Well, just come on in and see us. We have all the bark supplies, everything to make your yards look good. We've got lots of tomatoes and peppers. It's a perfect time to get your garden going, and we'd be more than glad to help you figure out what you need and make sure your garden's going to grow great.
I tell you what, I love having this lady on my program. The program name, Green Thumbs, Dirty Knees, and Vicky's Country Gardens at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Vicki, what about the hours? When are you open?
Okay, we are open 9 to 6, Monday through Friday. Saturdays, 9 to 5. Usually we're here a little later than that, but we go 9 to 5 if we can. Sundays, we are now open from 11 to 3.
Okay.
And we stay busy throughout all those hours. So come on in and see us.
I'll bet you do. God bless you for a great job on the program this morning. The lovely Miss Vicki at Vicky's Country Gardens. God bless. See you next Monday.
All right, come see what I got over here.
I promise I am. I promise. Thanks so much.
All right.
All righty.
Bye.
Wonderful lady, and if you've never visited with her in person, it's really a treat. She is a sweetheart. Thank you very much. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. What have I got to do now? Oh, the weather. Yeah, that might not be a bad idea to take care of that. The weather this hour brought to you by our friends at Scarrow's Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. You know, maybe you're not prepared for graduation services yet, and you got a whole bunch of people coming by. Well, listen, they've got all kinds of the different meat packages over there, the tri-tips, the marinated pork ribs. They've got everything. Whoa, is your family going to love your stopping over to Scarrow's Meats? Or maybe you've got a great big party planned, or maybe a reunion. You better get a hold of them right now. The number to call, 324-7657, Scarrow's Meats in Jerome. Delicious meats you're going to really enjoy. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Enjoy the sunshine while we can, because it looks like rain showers are going to be in the forecast later this week. Here's what we're looking at for today. Mostly sunny skies, slight chance of afternoon thunderstorms, isolated rain showers, mostly sunny skies. Winds are going to be out of southeast at about 5 miles an hour, expecting a high of 80. Tonight it looks like the clouds are going to be moving into the valley, expecting a low of 51. Burning off by tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, high of 81. Then the clouds are going to be back for Tuesday night with a low of 52. By Wednesday, mostly cloudy skies, cooling off to 78 with an overnight low of 54. Thursday and Friday, we do have a 30 to 50% chance of rain showers and thunderstorms. Cloudy skies for Thursday, expecting a high of 70. By Friday, expecting a high of 80. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Gina, thank you very much. And brought to you by our friends at Scarrow's Meats. Don Scarrow and his crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. Go to the website, find out all about the delicious meats, scarrowsmeats.com, and the number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Right now, I would really, really appreciate it if you'd call me on the telephone. We'll talk about any subject that you want to talk about for the remainder of this hour. I always come out with a kind of a pre-planned schedule of some of the stories that I want to visit with you about during the course of our 3-hour visit in the morning. But there's probably stories, whether locally, nationally, or internationally, that maybe you'd like to discuss. So call me at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We are going to be making a few slight changes on the program, and I'll tell you more about that in a few minutes. But right now, here we go with our caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I have a comment and a thought about the gentleman you spoke to from Rome, Italy, about China. They may threaten us that they don't want to buy our agricultural goods anymore. However, they can't supply enough to feed themselves. And we, as far as I know, we are the biggest agricultural grown nation in the world. Where else are they going to get it?
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, if we do lose to them, or we don't sell to them, rather, like your guest was saying, it'll come out in the wash of other things that we can do, and where else we can sell the product instead of going to China.
Yeah.
It may not be for the dollar amount, but in the long run, in my opinion, we'd be better off, and I would sure like to see everything made in China kind of start to disappear a little bit here and there and see more made in the USA. I will pay more for what's made here because it's helping people here.
Absolutely.
Anyway, those are my thoughts, sir.
I'm 100% in your corner, Riley, that I would rather pay more if need be and if it's a necessity for seeing the red, white, and blue label on any product, whether it's agriculture or any other product, because I'd rather support my country, its workers, and its citizens. Thank you for that remark. I believe in it, and I think you're right. Thank you so much. How about somebody else? We've got time for another call. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. That's why, and Riley kind of touched on it a minute ago, the country of origin labeling on meat products. Absolutely. If I see something on there like China or Taiwan or whatever, or even on cans of food goods coming into this country, processed and packaged over in a foreign country, I won't buy it. Deanna and I will not buy anything that is not USA. That's just the way we are. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, if you want America to be like California, and if we elect Democrats, it will, and the people are fleeing the state, the businesses are fleeing the state, the manufacturing is leaving the state, and they are so terribly broke and have no intentions of ever changing it because the people that reelect them don't care, are willfully ignorant, whatever the reason. But, in my travels, in my business, you would not believe the amount of Californians that I deal with, whether or not they're from Bakersfield, Fresno, Riverside, L.A. County, Orange County, wherever else, and Galt. And you say to yourself, these people say it is a turning in. Yesterday I was talking to a dairyman about it, and the word that he described was perfect, but if I say it on the air, you won't let me back.
Yeah, well, yeah, but they might not let me back either. Don't do that.
Oh, and I don't want to do that. But you see, in order to describe it in the proper terms, you've got to use rough language because it's that bad.
Yeah.
The amount of money they spend just cleaning up feces, human feces, in wherever it is, Seattle, just down the coast. you just name your city.
Well, the thing is, Randy, we're gonna be having. I think I can't remember if it's tomorrow or if it's on Wednesday. We're going to have a gentleman that studied, of all things to study, the human waste problem in Sacramento and San Francisco, and how devastating and how dangerous it is to our health and our concerns for our community. And he's going to be on the air. I think it's Wednesday by chance. But what you're saying is 100% correct. The Democrats and the liberals aren't doing anything to better our society. They're actually aiding and abetting it to get worse.
Well, think of it this way. It is getting so bad that you have to avoid certain areas of these cities, and then you see ads about coming to California for vacation.
Yeah.
Well, why would you want to? Why would you do them a favor anyway? What? Sure, it's a beautiful state, but if you run into, 60,000 in L.A. County, 60 to 70,000 homeless.
Yeah.
60 to 70,000. Okay, Twin Falls is 50,000 or close.
The whole concept.
Yeah, how insane this is.
The whole concept of supporting a state that absolutely does not want to support the rules and regulations, the laws, etc. of the rest of the country is absolutely insane. Randy, I appreciate your calls, and I want to tell you something. Every time you call, you always bring up some really good points. Sometimes I got to make sure you've got a snaffle bid on or something to pull back on, but I appreciate you.
Well, I know you're frustrated, but I don't know. I know it's therapeutic for me to get to call in. I appreciate it.
All right. God bless you, man. Talk to you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you. Don't forget our big sponsor, our major sponsor, and that's your Magic Valley. Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and I mean really, really serving you with the best in tires for whatever your driving conditions are. I mean, if you're on the freeway or out on the gravel roads, whatever, they've got all the tread designs, all the sizes for your pickups, cars, SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, everything. Many, many, many of these are on sale to where you can save money right now. Stop in at any one of the 7 locations and also check out the very best in brake service with highly trained brake technicians. And of course, don't forget front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. All of this, but above all, service. 7-letter word, they specialize in it. Service. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06. God bless you and your family. And we always say the way things were, the way things ought to be, and the world needs more cowboys. See you tomorrow morning.